Hello, RailsConf. How's everybody day been? Among many other things here at this final RailsConf, I am fulfilling a 15 years long dream of speaking on the conference stage as an official representative of the conference. Thank you to everybody for showing up here and supporting our lightning talks. This has always been a way for people new to the community or people new to public speaking to take a chance and get up in front of people and tell us what they know. And it's always been one of my favorite parts of the conference, and I hope that we will have a great hour and a half together with our amazing lightning speakers, some of whom are scholars, some of whom are longtime community members, all of whom have been brave enough to come up here and give what is probably a talk on less preparation than they would like, because that's how lightning talks go. But it's going to be great for everybody, and I hope that we will show the support of the Ruby community. Everybody's going to have 5 minutes, and if they don't, I have a keep things moving along gong, which hopefully we will never have to strike. Thank you so much for being here, and I will introduce our first speaker, Zoe Steinkamp.
I forgot to get my photo. There we go. Whoop. All right, we're good. All right, so my name is Zoe Steinkamp. I work for a company called ClickHouseDB. We are an analytical database. I'll do the speech later on, but basically, we created an open source RubyGem analytics on top, or rather embedded within our database. The information's there, so let me go through it. So SQL analytics on RubyGem downloads. So we have every gem ever downloaded, all that information's here. It's free to use, completely for the community. I'm gonna actually do a demo so I can show you where you can run it. We're actually soon gonna have a website. It should be out in like the next week or two, I wanna say. I've been watching the PRs on it. Fast SQL queries, so if you know SQL, you can query it. I'm also going to show you how to query it with our AI agent, and you don't have to know SQL. It'll do it for you. Reliable and secure. That's just because ClickHouse Cloud is secure. There's nothing particular about the RubyGem downloads being secure. So what can you ask it? You can ask, what are the most downloaded gems? What are emerging gems? Downloads over time, downloads of a Ruby version over time, downloads by system, blah, blah, blah. Very exciting. So just for context, at first there was Python. So let me really quick open this link. This is the analytics for PyPy packages. And very soon this will be the same kind of website we're building for Ruby gems. It's just not yet done. But basically what you can do is you can do something like, here's the top repo right here. I don't know what this one is, but clearly it's very popular. And you can do super cool stuff like this. Like this is querying ClickHouse right now in real time. And it's doing it this quick. I just picked some random time frame, obviously. I didn't do anything super fancy. But yeah, all these graphs are being basically filled in by ClickHouse, and that's how fast it is, and that's how good it is for analysis. So anyways, at first there was this Python library. Oh, yeah. Then we got an email from Ruby Central from Dale, to my coworker Dale from Marty. Just for reference here, Dale actually built this out, but he's recently had arm surgery, and it's not really great to fly when you've had surgery. So he asked me very nicely, hey Zoe, can you please go represent our awesome Ruby Gems project for me here at the conference. So that's how I landed here. But basically he got an email and Marty was like, hey, this is pretty cool for, the Python community, but what about us, the Ruby community? What are we getting out of this? Come on. And so we did it. We went ahead and got all this data into ClickHouse Cloud. We went ahead and loaded it in multiple different ways for you to access it. And like I said, very soon there will be a UI interface to interface with as well. We got 3 data sets when we did this. We have the download logs, the daily aggregate downloads, and the weekly data dumps. And this is all the information as to where this all comes from. Most of it's covering data all the way back to 2013 is some of the oldest stuff. For the download logs, I think it's just from 2017 because they might not have been tracking them any earlier than that. But basically to do it, you could do the SQL playground. I'm going to show basically what that would look like in the terminal. But you can also just use, here, let me pull up my terminal here. Yeah, this is really tiny. Give me a second. There we go. A little bit bigger now. So basically what I've done here, and this has already been preloaded just because I get nervous with internet, but basically I went ahead, I loaded in the Ruby gems, I asked it, this is a SQL query obviously, so this is a little bit longer, but I was basically asking for how many downloads there were in a specific week and basically the past I think this is asking for the past 6 weeks or past 8 weeks, basically how many downloads there have been. And I don't know why there was such a slow week right here, maybe it was a holiday or something, but on average it's getting between 13,000 to 20,000, give or take, and you can see the overall downloads. So that's one way to do it. That's probably not the most easy way to do it. We also have the SQL Playground. This is available online. It's web-based. You can basically come here and come on the left-hand side. Sorry, it's a little small to see, but basically you'll see the words Ruby Gems, which then I just clicked on and closed. You'll see Ruby Gems. You can click on something like Emerging Gems. You can run it, and you will see some of the emerging gems. For example, GitLab Crystal Ball. I don't know what this does, but it's emerging. It's getting more downloads. It's getting more popular. Great. You can hit on any of these and be able to see that. And finally, this is the agent house that I was talking about. So this is llm.clickhouse.com. Anyone can access it. It has data from a few different sources. Like, you can see some of my old queries here about like flight data. In fact, this one's specifically flight data for Chicago to New York and how commonly it's delayed and all this other stuff. One of these is actually really funny because it noticed COVID and put like a black dot on it and was like, look, there was no delays during this time period. And you're like, yes, there's no flights. Congratulations. But basically with Ruby Gems, you can do the same. So yesterday, for example, I asked it, how many downloads this week on Ruby Gems? And then specifically, I think I also asked it a really dumb question. Yeah, I also asked it, what is Ruby Gems? Just for the, I just was testing Agent House. I really wanted to know. And then we also wanted to know how many times the bundler gem had been downloaded. But what this is doing on the background is it's actually running select queries. So it's writing the SQL, it's querying ClickHouse, but when you ask it questions like, here, let me go grab this. Okay, can I copy this? I really hope I'm copying it. Yeah, there we go. There's some lines in here I should probably get rid of. With my luck, that will break Agent House. I realize now I just asked a horrible question. How often? What does often mean? Well, anyways, it's going to run it. It's going to go run the select query. It has been downloaded almost 1 million times total. That's quite a specialized gem compared to the bundler. I think that's that's the gong. All right. My demo's done. I really quick just wanted to do this. So we're doing a social after this event wraps. If you grab this QR code here, you are welcome to join us.
Thank you, Zoe. Next up, Jeremy Smith.
Hey, everybody. This talk is called Programming in the Low Memory Environment of Your Brain, or it might just be mine, we'll see. When I saw the lightning talk sign up, I thought, oh, I'd like to do that, but I don't know what I'd give a lightning talk about. And if I just trusted my memory, I wouldn't be standing here. Lucky for me, I don't. I keep a doc called Conference Talk Ideas. I scanned the list, and this one popped out, and I had totally forgotten that I had shared this idea on Twitter last year, and Rails OG Ben Orenstein had encouraged me to start with even the smallest version of this to begin with. And then it clicked. Oh yeah, a lightning talk is the perfect small version of this. So I want to ask you, is it possible that you might be limiting yourself by an over-reliance on your memory? All of us are dealing with the relatively small context window of our working memory. In addition to natural limits, our memory is impacted by a whole slew of things, many of which are totally outside of our control and can change very suddenly. And chances are, at any given moment, we don't realize the severity of the limitations because we don't remember what we've forgotten. Thankfully, that doesn't have to spell doom, as we humans are tool-using animals. But in my experience, tools are not the hard part. The hard part is getting over our resistance. Here are all the objections I've used to have to relying less on my memory and what I would say to my past self now. I should be able to do it on my own. Accept your fallible memory. There are no points awarded for doing it the hard way. What worked for you when you were younger may not scale with greater life demands and difficulties and greater responsibility and criticality. If it's important, I will remember it. You will sometimes, but your hit rate will be much lower than you realize. I have plenty of experiences now that show me differently. I won't be doing this again. Sometimes this is clearly untrue, like filing taxes or installing that one package with Homebrew. And sometimes you are playing the odds, but more based on hope than on evidence. The cost of relying on tools will be higher than the benefit. It's possible, but you are likely overestimating what's enough to be effective and underestimating the future time saved. You can make tiny experiments to build confidence. I will be collecting too much information or hoarding. Storage is cheap. Spending hours looking for something you've lost or trying to reproduce something that you've done before is expensive. I don't want the personal record of my life to consist of the minutia of all the technical work I've done. This is just life. We all toil and struggle through daily challenges, most of which are mundane and trivial in the grand scheme. but don't diminish the dignity of your labor by believing that it's not worthy of recording. So with that in mind, here are the tools that I currently use: project logs, summary videos, reference materials, and published content. Let me talk about each one. I keep a log of nearly every project I work on. To borrow from Getting Things Done, a project is anything with more than one step. I'll usually have one main note per project with high-level tasks and details at the top, and at the bottom an append-only section with each day I've worked on that project and all the notes from that day. This will include questions I've had, decisions I've made, tasks I've accomplished, snapshots of current understanding or opinions, errors I've hit and how I resolved them, excerpts of logs from bugs and incidents, all the links related to a research session, snippets of code, commands I ran, and planned next steps. Note, the project logs are for you. Keep those separate from what you put in company project management tools. You want to own these, and you don't own what others can block your access to. I work with 2 to 3 clients at a time, and the context switching can be a real challenge. By Monday, I've often forgotten completely what I was working on for the first client the week before. I'm increasingly making video walkthroughs of features, proposals, and research for my clients. What has surprised me is that I'm almost always coming back to watch these videos again myself, often several times. They help me find my place again much faster than just looking over code or notes. Most videos are under 10 minutes, making playback at 2x cheap. I use Loom, and I think it's absolutely worth paying for a tool that reduces friction for recording and sharing. Many things don't fit into a project frame and are more like research topics, areas of study or inquiry, or ideas and notes for future projects. Have a collection bucket for each of these and get in the habit of throwing everything you think of in there. It should become second nature. The pinnacle is published content. When you publish, you reinforce and generalize your knowledge and provide benefit to others as well as your future self. Publishing doesn't have to be high cost. There are many scales. You can spend 5 hours on a video, 3 hours on a blog post, 1 hour on social media thread, or 15 minutes on a GitHub gist. I built Rails Inspire as an intermediate between gists and technical blog posts, as it's an easy way to share code samples with contextual explanation. I have yet to regret the time I've spent on publishing content. It always rewards me, often in surprising ways. In all of this, keep in mind the goals. Build context quickly, figure out where you left off, remind yourself of past discoveries and decisions, provide evidence for past actions, have materials already collected for creative work, reinforce your learnings, increase the value of past efforts. Thanks.
Next up, we have Sam Potter.
Hi, my name's Sam, and this is a crash course on linguistics with references to Ruby and Rails. So yeah, as I said, my name is Sam. I'm a CS and linguistics student at Berkeley, and in the Rails world, I help maintain HCB, which is a open source neobank for nonprofits. Cool. So, what is linguistics? Linguistics is the study of language. It's the study of how we speak, how we pronounce words, how we structure our sentences. Why do we study it? Because language is one of the most important tools we have as humans. It's how we all communicate to each other. Look at us at a conference, communicating with language. And it is also a very interesting thing to study because there are a bunch of puzzles. And I don't know about you all, but I really like solving puzzles. So that's why I like it. There are 4 kind of key branches of linguistics. We have phonology, morphology, semantics, and syntax. I'm going to run through each of these briefly with reference to some sort of Ruby or Rails feature, and they each build on top of each other. So we'll start off with phonology, and here we have the IPA. Does anyone want to try having a shot at what these words are? Yes, perfect. I maybe chose slightly too easy to guess words, but this is the IPA. It's not exactly the Latin alphabet, but it's an alphabet we can use to communicate how we pronounce things. You'll notice that there are 2 pronunciations for Philadelphia. It's because that varies throughout the word. Cool. Next up, we have morphology, which is the study of the structure of words. How many of you have a concern in your code base that ends with the, able? Yeah? Awesome. Well, that's an example of a morpheme, which is a subunit of a word that has meaning. So in attachable, we have the word attach and the suffix able. All morphemes have meanings. For example, I pulled a concern that's has tasks. The has a meaning. ID has a meaning. And the most simple morpheme is the plural morpheme, which is just an S in most cases, but indicates that something is a plural. And we can break these down into roots, which is attach, and then suffix of able. And there's a bunch more you can do with morphemes. Each of these is like a semester worth of university content that I'm trying to cram into a minute. Next up, we have semantics, which is like the meaning of sentences and phrases. One common way of studying sentences and their meaning is to have sentences derive their meaning from a series of truth conditions. Basically, a collection of facts that, if all true, make that sentence true. For example, the truth conditions of a sentence like this, Rails is an awesome programming language, would be Rails is awesome, and Rails is a programming language. I am now realizing I meant to write Ruby, so this sentence is actually not true. If we were to write this in Ruby, you could write a function like this, is true, which takes the context of what we're speaking about, a series of truth conditions, and just loops through them. And if one of them is false, the sentence is therefore false. Now, what do these truth condition functions look like? Well, actually, the most common way of understanding these is that they are set inclusion functions. So for example, Rails is awesome would be Rails is in the set of awesome things. Here I have a couple of other things I think are awesome. And you could think of those a little like this. So the second one would be false. So TLDR, you can think of every sentence as one or more characteristic functions using the set theory version of characteristic functions. Lastly, we have syntax, which is the structure of sentences. There are a couple of common ways that languages structure their sentences. You have subject, verb, object, verb, and then verb, subject, object. Subjects are the person doing the action, verbs are the action, objects are the thing that the action is being done to. It is debatable whether Ruby is SVO or SOV. Here's a piece of Rails code that you could argue is SOV. You have the subject, the user table, you're creating the object, which is a user called Sam, and then, but you could also write SOV. For example, here you have again the user who is taking the action of building a new hobby onto them. There isn't a great answer, and honestly, this is because I'm trying to compare a programming language to a human language. But at the end of the day, linguistics is descriptive and not prescriptive. That's one of the key principles, is that you don't, as a linguist, you don't prescribe rules, you try and describe rules. So here I am trying to describe Rails as Ruby as a human language. So thank you so much.
Next up, we have Brooke Kuhlman.
Thanks. So hey, everyone. Just really happy to share with you Terminus. Before I actually talk about this, though, I need to give you some context. I work for a company called Terminal, with all the vowels taken out, and we do e-ink devices, and that's what you're seeing here. E-ink devices are just a simple technology, right? Just a simple hardware construction. It's a dumb device that basically just renders image information. So you can send anything down to this, and we'll render it for you. And what's really nice about this is that you can get really creative in terms of like what you want to create, think of, whatever kind of data that you want to put onto this device, you can do it very easily. So what is Terminus then? Well, Terminus is our open source solution. We call it BYOS, so build your own server, and this is our reference implementation, so that you can have an open source solution to actually render data on these e-ink devices. It's private and secure kind of by default, right? Because you get to run the server locally, you have your device locally, it's all on your own network, so it's kind of a closed system. It's 100% open source, which I'm really proud of. It's something that I've cared about for many years. I've been doing open source for over almost 2 decades now. And the other thing that ties into this is the unbreakable pledge as a company, something I'm also very proud of, because basically what we're saying is, hey, if we ever go under or can't sustain ourselves anymore or just get bought out, like we'll open source everything so that you'll have everything in addition to all the open source stuff that we're doing right now. So in terms of tech stack, it's basically built on Ruby, of course. But the thing that I love about it most is it blends the best of Ruby, in my opinion, which is object composition with functional composition. This lends itself really well because for the text or the web stack, we're using Hanami. That blends in really well with that kind of design philosophy. As for the front end type stuff, we try to keep it really light in terms of JavaScript. We're using HTMX, so we can just send partial information server rendered back and forth. And then just using pure CSS because modern browsers have come along so far that you can actually lean into that and have a really good, clean design without actually having to bring in a really complex framework. Lastly, if for some reason, I know we're all Rubyists, but if you just don't want to deal with any of that, you can just grab the Docker image that we build and you can run it that way. In terms of architecture, Terminus sits right here in the left-hand quadrant of our entire architectural stack, which is the DIY web server. And that allows you to communicate and send information to your device. What's really nice about this is you can also proxy between Terminus and the core server. And you can actually bring in images and all the plugins and recipes and stuff that we have in the core server down to your device as well. In terms of setup's actually fairly simple. When you get your device and you unbox it, you're going to want to connect to the captive Wi-Fi portal. It's going to show up as TRMNL here. You'll connect to it with your SSID of your network, fill in your password, and the critical thing here is you're going to put in your server address. Because by default, the device is going to want to talk to our core server, and you want to talk to Terminus that's running locally. And so you put in your IP address, connect to that, and then it starts syncing. And the syncing it's doing is actually a basic JSON data API. It's very, very simple, actually. It just wakes up the device says, hey, Terminus, what's the next image? Terminus sends that JSON response down with a URL to the image, and then that renders on the device. And then you can just go through multiple screens that way. In terms of web UI, it's very simple at the moment. We're working on making this better and a better usability, better pleasant experience for you to use in your home server, which is a dashboard to kind of keep stats on things, devices so you can actually look at the logs, edit them, delete them, add new devices, whatever. There's also a little bit of a designer in there. This actually uses HTMX to do server-sent events. So as you modify your HTML code, you can see the new screen render on the left-hand side. And then you can use that information to actually hit the Screens API and build a new image that actually gets sent to your device. So new features are being built weekly. This is kind of basically my primary job. Super excited to be working on this and actually being able to provide something that the community can really enjoy. Thanks so much for letting me speak, and you can find the slides and feel free to reach out and contact me. I'm happy to talk more about this. So thanks.
Next up, Kelly Popko.
All right, I'm here to talk about when you might want to use a data object. Data is a relatively new Ruby class introduced in Ruby 3.2. Use data when the intent is to store an immutable atomic value and when you want to define simple classes for value-alike objects. Cool, so how do we use it? We use data.define and we pass it keyword arguments. So here we're using it on a book as an example. We can also optionally pass it a block if we have behavior, like methods that we want to add to it. And creating the instance of the book, notice that we can either call .new or use bracket, and we can optionally use either keyword or positional arguments. So here we're doing both, all four combos. Now, how does this compare to its arguably closest neighbor, struct? Let's take a look at that. In terms of syntax, just using the similar kind of house example, we use data.define to instantiate the data class, keyword arguments. With struct, we're going to say struct.new. Now, what is one of the main differences between the two? One of the main differences is going to be mutability. Let's try out some renovations here. We're going to look at struct. We have created a house using struct. We've created a ranch house with one floor, and we're going to try to add a floor, make it a 2-story ranch. We get, 2 floors. And we can also check, is ranch frozen? It is not frozen. Let's try to do the same with data. We're going to define the house using data. Here we have a ranch house. And then we're going to try to increment floors. Notice that we get a no method error raised. We also note too from the error that there's no writer method. So what would happen if we define a writer method? We can define the writer method. When we try to use it, though, we get a frozen error. So we can also check, is ranch frozen? Yes, ranch is frozen. And just as a side-by-side comparison, we're looking at data methods and struct methods, and then each respective instance method. You can see the struct just has way more that's built right in. And then if we compare the diffs of methods, we also can notice that struct only has one method that data does not, whereas the reverse is certainly not true. Cool note about with, though. With, we can create a copy of that instance and change any or all of the attributes and make a new instance. So, to data or not to data, we want to look at mutability, behavior, and communication. When do we want to use data? When do we want to use something else? If we want a lot of methods, if we want to be able to change values, we probably want class. Data is not going to be what we want. If we want to create that simple class for a value object, if we want a well-encapsulated object where those changes, those values once created cannot really be mutated, that's when we want data. Is an instance of data truly completely immutable, though? We have some immutability workarounds we can look at. So the instance of data is frozen, but the attribute values, if those are mutable, they're still mutable. So we can sort of work against the intent of data if we really want to. So just looking at an example where we have a hash. So we're creating a data object color counts where we're passing a hash, red, blue, green, and we want to increment, say, the red count by 5 for, I didn't really think about why, but we totally can if we look at it. Red now has 5. So, yeah, so we can update those values. How are we doing? Just really another similar version with array. We can also, knock one of those out with pop, or we could push to that array because the array itself is mutable. So just a caveat, I suppose. So bringing it all together, you might want a data object if you want to avoid a mutated value on the object coming back to haunt you. That said, there are workarounds, so it's not foolproof. Thank you so much as well. Oh, also about communication. Okay, thank you so much. That was a flyby of the Ruby data class. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Next, we have Tia Anderson.
Okay. Hello, party people. All 8 million of you. Hello, my name is Tia, and I am a RailsConf 2025 scholar, and this is Peace, Love, and Crud, a Rails journey to calm. So, I totally believe that a lack of internal peace is fueling a whole lot of the chaos and calamity that we're seeing in society right now. From burnout to road rage to constant conflict, we're all kind of running on fumes. Maybe not all, but you know what I mean. And I kind of wanted to change that because that's a lot. In a world that kind of feels like it's spiraling politically, socially, and even in just day-to-day interactions, this is my journey to reclaim peace through code. Okay, this is the first thing that you land on when you go to my app, which is POM, which stands for Peace of Mind. Okay, and it was just made to be soft tones, simple choices, login or sign up, no extraness, no extra chats or all that kind of stuff, no pressure, just come on in and catch these vibes. I built this during a time of really, really big life changes for me, from being laid off to watching what looks to me like the world burning down and people treating each other like complete garbage routinely. So I didn't really want more noise. I wanted a place that was gonna let me pull away from the chaos and center myself again. All right, so when you first log in, you get to the dashboard and It's just common, simple, like everything else. And right now, it just offers the two options of journal and gardens, but eventually will offer recipe tracking and the ability to couple recipes and or your plants with journal entries. Because inner peace doesn't come from doing more, it comes from focusing on what actually matters out here. Now, next we'll go into the gardens. You can set up several, however many gardens you want to, and do the notes in the plants and everything like that. Okay, you can track the progress of your plants within there. And the thing is that I don't feel like it's just plants being tracked. It is, you're tracking your care, your progress, your intention, watching something grow over time, even when you feel stuck. It's kind of a reminder that you're not. And really and truly, sometimes we feel stuck because we need to look inside and grow from literally right where we're planted. All right, and this is what it looks like on the show page for one of the plantings, which is a user, a plant, and a garden. And you can see that you can add progress notes and things like that so that you can watch it. And there's timestamps and things like that. Honestly, it's a little bit of a metaphor. These little logs added one by one to show your effort, your setbacks, and your joy. Does it sound familiar? It's kind of crud, but mindfulness and presence crud. Right, and then here's the journaling space. This is, just what it looks like when you first land on it. You can scroll through. This is a screenshot, so I should probably stop trying to scroll. But this is where you can actually scroll down and you get all of the months for which you have an entry. And it's, that the first little 3 accordions are kind of popped open, but you can look at any of them. So entries are organized by month for now, but in the future, they'll also be able to be grouped by category or event, emotion, stuff like that. There's no way to get likes or comments. Nobody's looking at it, so there's no pressure, which is amazing. Just thoughts and reflections. Because we need somewhere to put the weight that we randomly pick up and carry. We need to unpack those thoughts and feelings that will otherwise become baggage, thus leading to this lack of peace that we're seeing everywhere. The idea here was kind of minimalism and choice. All right, so also some days we don't know where to start and we potentially end up avoiding journaling at all. So I integrated ChatGPT to generate prompts. So Rails handles the flow, OpenAI brings the idea, and you bring the truth. Let's see, it's just a little spark to get your gears going. Okay, it's just a little spark to get your gears turning when you don't know where to start. And I do want to say that I came to Rails late in the game after years of working on a front-end platform that runs on Rails. But learning to build from scratch kind of changed everything. It gave me confidence, it gave me skills, and honestly, it helped me find peace. In closing, peace isn't loud, it isn't flashy, it doesn't go viral, but it changes everything. Because when one person finds calm, it ripples outwards. It changes how we show up in our homes, in our jobs, and even on the road. Peace spreads, but you have to choose it. If even one person chooses to build peace, they give others the permission to do the same. And that is how we begin to change the world. You can find my app and contact info on this final slide. I am Tia Anderson, RailsConf 2025 Scholar, and I wish you peace, love, and crud. Thank you for coming to my Tia Talk.
Next up we have Justin Bowen.
Okay. I'm Justin Bowen, and as most of you have probably already guessed, I'm going to be talking about Rails and AI, because that's what I do. I've been doing Rails for 17 years now. The last 10 years, though, I've been doing a lot of Python computer vision. This is my cat Lakui, past and present. She's 17. She's been with me by my side the whole time. And yes, like I said, since RailsConf 2021, I have been talking about AI and Andrew Kane a lot. There was actually, Marco, one video missing from Ruby events, and that is, again, me and Lahui. Thanks to Arena, you guys might have seen that picture twice. I didn't get to see it. So, there are a lot of tools missing in our Ruby toolbox, if you're familiar. One in particular is not really AI, but does kind of have that connotation, which are iRuby notebooks, live notebooks, Jupyter notebooks, if you're familiar. GPU-accelerated runtimes for inference and training. Onyx Runtime Ruby does now support CUDA, thanks to Andrew Kane, and I just made an issue. That's the word open source frameworks for AI development, and that's what we're going to talk about. Agent-oriented programming is actually not a concept I made up. The paradigm was coined like 30 years ago, Wikipedia. This is also sort of from the Wikipedia, but we're not here to talk about vibe coding, and we'll get to that later if there's a little time. But we're here to talk about cool features in your Rails app that are AI-powered, like an object. Agents give you functionality, but can decide how to use that functionality, where it's not just a lifeless object representing some kind of data structure, it is a lifeless object representing some kind of complexity. Active Agent compresses that complexity into something that you might be familiar with. It should be MVC, models, views, and controllers. Actions render prompt templates using Action View. And the prompt context is the model, and the agents are controllers. I didn't read the haiku, I probably won't have enough time. This is actually just from the Rails guides, controllers, you know, MVC. I just slapped an agent class in there, so now you can have a controller too. And your public methods become actions that can be called. You get queued generation just like you would with Action Mailer. If you've ever used a controller, you should be pretty familiar with this. Two major things that we've probably all attempted to do at this point are interactive conversational AI, like chatbots. Everyone wants it. They're not that great. Autonomous operational agents, interesting. Again, chatbots are like long-form wizards, and you'd probably be best off just using a form. It's faster and a better user experience. And then, yeah, interacting with third parties with MCP or tools, that's the thing you can do. Actions can also be tools. Today we'll be talking about both concepts with translations as a background task that you can do. Okay, this slide is just to indicate that it's demo time. So we'll get into the code in a second. Let's just do the demo real quick, and hopefully the internet still works. This is about cat, so meow meow, I didn't spell it right, kind of on purpose. So we can ask, what can you do? And hopefully get streamed results back. And it says that it can show cute cat images, which I didn't promise at the beginning, but I will hopefully deliver. And you can say, show me a cat without the A. But it should still do it, hopefully. If the internet's good, there's a job running, that's good. Cat. It worked. I did break it multiple times today during the hack space. We also have translate, and I do want to get into the code, but we only have a minute left, so let's see. Yeah, this is your agent class. The translate agent has a simple translate action that renders a translate text herb file that you guys have probably felt before or used before. It should feel familiar. You also get before generation, after generation callbacks similar to 40 seconds left. Similar to what you would see in Action Mailer with the deliver callbacks. And then the chat that you just saw is all just going through the support agent, which just gets the content from the message the user typed, the chat IDs, the context, and generate later, like we were talking about. There's also in the support agent a action called get cat image that goes to cat image as a service to get you that cat from cat as a service. And every time you go there, it just gives you a random cat. And in that agent, we also have a callback that we can use for handling stream chunks. Like you saw in the stream chat, on-stream callbacks give you the ability to render each of those chunks as they come back. And before and after actions, 10 seconds left, hold on.
It's going up.
And I'm Tons of Fun, if you didn't already catch that, on GitHub, and Tons of Fun 111 on most of my socials. The hack space was very inspiring for me. If you're interested, on overtime. Okay.
Yeah.
Scan
Thank you. Next up, Deborah Fernandez.
Hi, everyone. I'm Deborah. I've been working with Ruby on Rails since 2012. Now I work at Power. Please check our booth. And now I'm here with you guys to celebrate the 10 years of Rails Girls São Paulo. Yay! And what do you have to celebrate? In 2015, 2 women in São Paulo had a dream. We want to bring more women to technology with Rails. Nowadays, people came across long distance to live this experience from the whole Brazil and beyond, and which I truly recommend. You should try. On the last 10 years, we reached about 500 people, 500 women to teach and to develop their careers using Ruby on Rails or another language. We have been empowered women around Brazil and beyond. And our most common feedback that is most important, it is that our space is one of the safest one to then overcome their fears and be more in several aspects. Another special thing is that often these girls come back as mentors because they want to give back to community the power that they have received. Our main goal is that women truly, truly believe in themselves, and we have reached that. Rails Girls is not just about programming, it's about changing reality, and behind the scenes, it would be possible if regular people, like all of us, didn't hate themselves to change the world. And this is my invitation for you today. Help people around you, 500 or just one, want to start something new, a workshop, a small group. Start very small, be an ally, find allies, look for people, not for perfection. Be wrong on perfection is so funny. We are here to help Camila, myself, Carolina, Daniela, Elaine. We are here to help you, and of course, to receive help too, and cheer on you on the next 10 years. There is no great success that change another life. That's all. Obrigada.
Thank you. Next up, we have Charlie Ramles.
Awesome. As you said, my name is Charlie Ramles. I'm a full-stack developer based out of Boston. I learned to code with Ruby, which is a garbage collected language, which means that memory is managed automatically for us. I've been curious about how memory used to be managed pre-Ruby and pre-garbage collection. So I took some time to play around with C, which is the language that Ruby was built on, one of the languages, and build some like small apps and play with memory. So do manual memory management. So this talk is going to be about some small things that I've learned. So just as a trivial example, let's say we were asked to build like a small seats management application for like a conference room. Let's say the requirement is the room can only have start to start can only have 20 chairs, and for attendees. And if we were to get more signups, we would get more chairs to accommodate all these attendees. So if we were to implement that in a C program, before we get to that, so C has three main methods to kind of like manage memory manually. We have malloc, which stands for memory allocation. It takes one parameter that's an energy that you pass to it, that kind of like you can ask it returns a list of contiguous memory blocks so that you can store whatever data you want. So if we were to use that implementation to create our little program here, so as you can see on the right, we pass in 20 to malloc, meaning that we so the 20 shares, initial 20 shares we're passing, and we all multiply that by the number, some number of characters here, which is the name of the chair. So I decided to call each chair is like chair 1, chair 2. So that multiplication would return about like 160. So that would be 160 bytes that malloc would return, so we can stores all those 20 chairs. So now let's say we have a bunch more people, like our talk is very popular, a bunch more people end up signing up for a talk. We can't just like add all these 50 extra people to our initial room. We like in C, if we do that, we'll potentially overwrite memory and causing issues in our program. So there's another method called a realloc that allows you to take the initial pointer slash variable that we had, and you can use it to, it takes 2 parameters. You pass in the first pointer that you have, and then the second parameter is the amount of memory, more memory that you want to add to that. So that's what we're doing here on the second block. And then once you're done, let's say the talk is over, and then we need to return the chairs that we had borrowed to accommodate the extra people that were attending. So in C, the same way, we need to make sure that we free the memory that we're using so that other parts of the program can use it. One of the main things that happens if we don't do that, we can easily cause memory leaks. And in the past couple of years, the U.S. government have been actively asking the company that they work with to add roadmaps to their website to tell them how exactly they're gonna to improve so that they can prevent their any type of memory issues from the program. So if we were to implement the same thing in Ruby, so if we were to implement the same thing in Ruby, so like it is very, very simple. Like we were doing before, we start with a room, which is the area that we have, and we add the 20 chairs that we want to add to it. And then, once more people come to the room, we just add the 50 more people that we want to add, which is the 70. So we add that, and we don't have to worry about calling malloc or calloc or free, because we have garbage collection that takes care of that for us in the background. Ruby is an amazing language. That's one of the reasons all of us loves it. And man, this is it. Thank you.
Next up, Rachel Wrightman.
My name is Rachel.
Hello. My name is Rachel Wrightman. I go by Chailcodes online, and this is Gamified Developer Experiences. I want you to have as much fun in your day job as you do playing a programming game. But first, we need a definition. So a programming game is any game where a core mechanic is creating or modifying programs, and they can look very different. For example, this one is Battle Snake, so it's a multiplayer snake game where you build your own, where you have your own server deployed, and what they do is they send you the board state, and you reply with what move you want to make in under 500 milliseconds, or your snake just keeps trucking along in the direction it was going. This one is exapunks. You are infected by a disease that is slowly turning your organic parts into machine parts. And AI is giving you nonsensical programming tasks in exchange for medicine to slow the progression of your disease. You're writing programs for Exas, which are tiny robots that can spawn more tiny robots. Your documentation is a hacking zine. And you can program you have to program your new machine parts to function as your old organic ones did. This red GIF, by the way, is you reprogramming your hand. So this last one is the most beautiful atmospheric story-driven programming game I've ever seen. It is my favorite, and that is not because I am in it. The reason that I like it is because I played the demo, got involved, not the other way around. So this is a very meaningful game. It's story-driven, and it's heartfelt. So in this one, the coding that you do mostly involves setting and copying variables and getting creative with their usage. And so you can actually walk around in this one, which is unsurprisingly pretty rare in a programming game. All right, now let's get into why programming games are fun and how we can take this into our day jobs. So there are 6 topics here, and I think we have time for 3 of them. First of which is the immediate feedback that you can get, and then the last 2 we're going to cover are purpose and autonomy. So in programming games, you can get immediate and visible feedback. So this is what code execution in exapunks looks like. At any given moment, you are aware of what line you are in, what value is in each of your registers, and you have a representation of your code's execution that is very visible. In fact, if you look at the tape decks over in the feed, the Digicam feed up there, you can actually see the correct one rotating whenever you are loading the file. So this is before we even talk about the fact that your code is run past 100 tests in order to ensure robustness. This is a dream developer experience. You have immediate feedback and unparalleled visibility into execution. So how do we bring this into your day job? So I think one of the first things you can do is test-driven development. Red-green is, I think, one of the most satisfying ways to write code. You have clear feedback, easy to manipulate parameters, immediate regressions, and you don't have to write tests at the end because they're already done. The next one is live reloading. So we talked about that visibility and feedback. When I'm working with my Jekyll blog, I have my code on one side, and then I have the site on the other one, so every single time I make a change and save it, I can immediately see that feedback on the other side. And the last one is your debugging tools. So I want you to think about your debugging tools, like how close can you get to that experience that you have in exapunks where you know exactly which line you're executing, what each of the values are, and the parameters and everything that you can see in them. So our next topic is going to be purpose. So in games, there's always this larger story or purpose that you're taking part in. I mentioned that in One Dreamer, this is a story that made me cry. You're exploring what happened to Frank. You're exploring his history. You're understanding what happened. That story is what draws you through your tasks and gives it meaning. So how do we apply this to your job? The first thing that you can do is you can talk to customers. You can talk to product owners. You can start to understand how your work impacts the users that you're working with. Next, you can do meaningful work. So I always feel good about contributing to Ruby for Good because I know that that's an organization that is helping to make the world a better place. The last thing you can do is you can learn something new. So sometimes we can't work on something inspiring and helpful to the world, but at the bare minimum, you can work on something that's interesting and new to you. All of these points are really about caring about your work because if you don't care, why bother? And that's no fun at all. So our last one is a meta point. So with programming games, you are choosing to sit down and spend your time on it. This really comes down to autonomy. This is relevant for cases like Battlesnake, where it's your own hosted code, it's your own development environment, it's the test cases that you're running. And I think we see this with advent of code as well. I think this applies particularly in cases where you're looking at side projects and open source. I think that this autonomy is part of the reason that you enjoy it. It's more fun when you have a choice. Expanding on that, I think that's one of the things that can potentially cause maintainer burnout. I think maintainer burnout can happen when a project becomes an obligation instead of a choice. So how do we apply this to your job? I'm not sure. 20% time, open source contributions. If you know and you figure it out, please let me know. I go by Chael or Rachel. You can find me at Chael Codes, chael.codes/links for all the social media platforms, hello@chael.codes for my email. Also, I'm looking for work, and you can find my resume at that link right there. Thank you very much for your time.
Next up, we have Lucy Chen.
Hi, everyone. I'm Lucy. I'll be talking about ugly colors, how I built a web app to rank ugly colors. So a little bit about myself. I'm a born and raised New Yorker, a Rails scholar, and a first-time RailsConf attendee. I studied fashion design in college, and I just started learning programming on my own about 6 months ago. It felt overwhelming at times, but also very rewarding. Today, I'll be sharing my project Color Ranker. It's a Rails app I built that lets people vote on whether colors are ugly or nice. Basically, it's hot or not, but for colors. It's a little silly, but it was the perfect way for me to practice Rails. So the reason I chose to build this app is because colors are a big part of my life as both an artist and a designer. I tend to love a wide range of colors, from soft pastels to overly saturated neons, even though I wear black all the time. So I wanted to build something fun, visual, simple, and fully Rails to see how far I could take a playful idea and learn as much as I could along the way. How it works is, in the homepage, there are 2 color rankers, one for single colors and one for color pairs. You vote on whether you like what you see. If you're not sure, you can generate a new color using the buttons, or just click on the color itself. Both ugly and nice colors go to a leaderboard, and you can reorder them if you think one is uglier than the other. And if you mess up, you can delete it and re-vote on another. And to keep things short, there's a voting limit, just 3 votes per list, and when you reach the limit, you get a little surprise. If you log in, there's a personal history page called My Votes, where you can see every color you've ever judged. I track votes by session and user, and I use controller logic to make sure the same color doesn't show up twice, even if it might look the same. So my future steps is to get a deeper understanding of user authentication, allow sharing profiles, both individual and blending color profiles between 2 users, create different dual color visual formats such as polka dots or stripes instead of just color blocks, allow users to input custom hex codes, and make my web app mobile friendly. It's a simple Rails app, but it taught me so much. Not just technically, like writing custom controller logic and working with models and device, but also patience, debugging, writing really ugly code, and that I could build something I'm really proud of. It's been a lot of fun, and I'm excited to meet others during the week and learn about your experiences. If you have any questions or advice for me, I would always love to learn more and get to know you better as a person too. Thank you all.
Okay, next up, R Hoover.
Fear. It's not something we talk about, but it's here. It's here with us because we take it with us everywhere we go. Now, fear leads us to build emotional fortresses around our true selves so that we can cower behind them with our imposter syndrome. Or is that just me? Hi, I'm R Hoover, and everything I have ever wanted has been on the other side of fear. Fear comes in many shapes and sizes, but what I want to talk about today is the fear of rejection. Like a virus, it causes us to put on masks and wear and practice social distancing. It lies dormant within us until we approach a new person or a new situation, and then it flares up rapidly. For example, do you remember the first time you ever wanted to kiss someone? You likely, in that moment, experienced anxiety triggered by a fear of rejection, alongside a rush of intoxicating endorphins caused by Cupid. Now, even with Cupid's support, asking that question, may I kiss you, is an incredibly vulnerable act. You're putting yourself out there, asking for intimacy. If you fear rejection at all, you won't ask the question, and fear will have kept you apart. Now at work, we experience it differently. Many of us have imposter syndrome. Some of us who have been there, like myself, know how it affects them. I fear people are going to discover that I'm a fraud, that my accomplishments will be discredited, and that I will be shunned. And ultimately, it all boils down to that fear of rejection. It leads me to fortify those defenses that prevent me from connecting with my colleagues. So how can I get past this? How can we all get past this and truly connect with each other? The key is trust. Trust is the vaccine for fear. A large enough dose can inoculate us, mitigating fear's worst symptoms, but it's not free. It comes at the cost of vulnerability. Now, someone must take a leap of faith, let their guard down, and share something of themselves. But then, crucially, someone else has to reciprocate that vulnerability. Now, often people express vulnerability in the form of a question. For example, if I were to ask, how does that work? I'm revealing the fact that I don't know. That's a risk in an environment where people don't trust each other. It's a vulnerable act. Now, a few years ago, I observed a coworker named Stephanie do something magical in this situation. She was teaching a class at work, and when someone asked a question, she responded with, I don't know, let's figure it out. Now, I love that. It was such a beautifully humane way of answering the question. Stephanie acknowledged that the person might be feeling vulnerable by reciprocating and admitting her own lack of knowledge. Then she invited them to participate in finding the right answer together. Now, Stephanie leveraged that small expression of vulnerability to build trust. She made it okay to not know. And that's the foundation of psychological safety. That's what gives teammates confidence that they won't be humiliated or punished for sharing an idea, asking a question, or making a mistake. And without that safety, teams won't perform at their best level. Now, I want to acknowledge there's not always a Stephanie in the room. If your teammates aren't reciprocating your vulnerability with their own, you could try being more explicit about what you're doing by asking or saying something like, at the risk of being vulnerable. You could talk to your manager about the lack of safety on your team, but if the situation is beyond repair, if vulnerability is seen as a weakness rather than the strength that it is, you may need to find a safer team. When you're looking for one, try answering an interview question like this. I don't know, can I look it up? And see how they respond. And remember, you're interviewing them as well as them interviewing you. Ultimately, I believe that the fear of rejection prevents us from truly seeing each other and actually being there for one another, which is a shame because we all have so much to offer. The way past that fear is to build trusting relationships through vulnerability. That's what will guide us to the psychological safety on the other side of fear. So go ahead, ask the vulnerable question, because everything you've ever wanted is on the other side of fear. And who knows, you might even get kissed. Thanks.
Next up, we have Yashar Shilla.
My name is Yashar, and I'm from Turkey. If you're not pronouncing it correctly, it doesn't matter. You can call me as Yashar or what you want to do. It's okay for me. So today I'm here for saving your coffee money in your pockets. And I'm one of the organizers of Ruby Turkey and also one of the scholars too. So before to start, I have a disclaimer. First things first. So sorry my English because I was in New York City for just a few days. So I'm nervous about it. So today's thing about memory management. Yeah, like Shortly already mentioned about it, there is something to do about your memory. Yeah, right? And Ruby handles for it for us. So, sorry for that. They just trying to keep it really sorry for that. Let me rephrase. Thank you. Actually, Linux manages your memory pretty well. And doing just all of the stuff, keep similar things closer, and remove the unused ones, and reorganize it regularly. It's just really good, and it's done by malloc. It's pretty fine, and it works really good. It comes with glibc, and it's good. But it doesn't work really good Ruby, I think. Just some cases. So we can figure it out and optimize in a way. We just setting things. Before of that, we have to actually, you have to measure before and after. Maybe it's not a thing for your case or your stuff, etc. And maybe you can set malloc arena max 2. It's popular thing. Everyone knows. And it's a really easy thing. What if it already had been done by someone else? There is one thing to do. It's JE malloc comes from the stage. So actually, they are looking for new maintainers or new forks. Maybe you already heard about it. And there's a blog post about it. I have to suggest to you look for it. And maybe you already seen about these screenshots over the net, for example, from Nate Barkopek or somebody else. There has lots of savings with using gmalloc. So if you want to using gmalloc, jemalloc, or how can it be done in your code base? Too easy. Actually, it comes by default with 7.2 Rails, and if you are using Dockerfile, it works perfectly. But if you are not, it's easy. Install libgmalloc 2 on your server. How can it be done? You can use, if you are using Heroku, just add this build pack. It works pretty perfect, and you have to just set a flag which gmalloc enabled to. It works pretty well. And if you are using Dockerfile or something else, just one line, and after that you have to flag it where it comes from. So that's all. Thanks and teşekkürler. Yeah.
So our last one is Cerdes Enrique, and go ahead.
Hey guys, I'm really happy to be here. So I will share my journey from React to Hotwire real quick. I'm one of the organizers of Tropical on Rails, so it's a Rails conference in Brazil. Everyone's invited. We're gonna have a really nice t-shirt if you go. So besides that, I am also a founder of a company called Linkana. And back then, when I was starting my first company, I went to that clickbait saying that I would be 10 times faster using GraphQL and Apollo. Thanks, Adam. I don't know him, but yeah, I fell on that. But it ends up that I learned a nice few things, you know, the things that we actually don't have on the Rails ecosystem, like Radix and Redless UI. That's our component library that is unstyled. That means that they doesn't have CSS. They just handle the hard parts, the behavior of components, and the accessibility. The accessibility is for the most difficult part of crafting a component. So because I was working with React, I had the opportunity to learn that and learn a little bit of Tailwind. And I ended up learning, knowing a component library called ChatCN. I don't know how many of you have already heard about it, but it's a very popular component library in the JavaScript world. In a couple of years, they went from 0 to more than 80K stars on GitHub. Everyone seems to really love it. And it's a little bit weird because for the alert that you guys are seeing over there, you have to define the arlet. The terminal, that is the icon, the arlet title, description, and everything else. It's weird for us that are used to just call a handler or a helper, and everything is there just in one line. But there is a reason for that, and a few people understand why that component library are doing that. It's because everyone remember the Bootstrap era that every website used to look the same, and people say, oh, I have to craft my own component library, my design system, because I don't want to look like Bootstrap. So because of that, component libraries like ChatCN does that. Every component is an HTML tag. So with that, it's very easy to just put tailwind and customize a little piece of that component. So it's meant to be customized. So that's why it's that weird. And another thing is that instead of you have that dependency there, it's meant to be ejected. You just copy and paste the code and put in your own project. And I end up having that code, you know. It's supposed to be a Ruby on Rails code, but it ended up to be a JavaScript code. That was my reality back then, using React. So I decided to look for alternatives out there, and I find out that project FlexUI. Maybe some of you guys have seen on Reddit people fighting, or it's faster, it's slower than ERB, but it doesn't matter, it's not the point. But I have found out that project. I didn't start the project, but they had everything that I was looking for. It was 100% open source, using Flex. I will not try to sell Flex for you guys, not talk about Flex, but it's using Hotwire. It was inspired by ChatCN, and I started contributing to that project, and I changed everything, you know, the language to look very similar to what I was used to with the React part. You can see that it's very similar. And 1 year later, I have a Rails project again. And now we have more than 43 components ready to be used. I'm using in production in my own company. The look and feel are awesome. Everything is Hotwire based. So I invited you guys to use it and to go to Tropical on Rails next year, guys. That's it.